Hello, little dreamer. Tonight, let's take a gentle journey across snowy cliffs and shimmering stars, where the wind whispers secrets, and even the smallest hearts can discover the biggest courage. This is the story of Tiko, a round-bellied baby penguin with sparkling eyes, who thought he was too clumsy to shine, until he learned that every wobble, every tumble, and every giggle could hold its own kind of magic. It's not just a story about penguins and snow. It's about laughter, friendship, and the light we all carry inside. And maybe, just maybe, as you listen, you'll feel that same little glow in your heart too. So snuggle in close. Rest your hands, and let your eyes grow heavy. The polar star is waiting to guide us, and our adventure begins, now. The moonlight shimmered across the snowy land, turning the frozen lake into a mirror of silver and white. In the middle of it all waddled Tiko, a tiny baby penguin with big, round sparkling eyes and a belly that seemed just a little too round for balance. He looked out at the older penguins gliding across the ice. They swept forward so gracefully, their wings stretched like sails, their little black feet barely making a sound as they skated. They twirled and spun as though they had been born to dance with the stars. "Oh, I want to be like them," whispered Tiko, his voice soft with wonder. His eyes glowed with excitement, but beneath the sparkle there was also a flicker of fear. Taking a deep breath, he placed one flipper behind his back, lifted his chin, and stepped onto the ice with a determined waddle. For 2 seconds, only 2 seconds, he thought he had it. His little feet slid forward. He stretched his wings. He felt the wind on his beak. Then, swoosh! Tycho's feet zipped out from under him, and with a squeak he spun around 3 times before sliding headfirst into a snowbank with a little poof. Snowflakes shot up in every direction like tiny fireworks. The older penguins paused, some covering their beaks as they tried not to laugh too loudly. Others chuckled kindly, shaking their heads. One of them called, "Don't worry, little one, it takes time." Tiko popped his head out of the snow, a clump of white stuck to the top of his head like a silly hat. He tried to smile, but inside his chest, he felt heavy. He wanted to cry, but he didn't. He just shook the snow off and whispered to himself, "I'll try again." And he did. Again and again, Tiko tried to skate. Sometimes he wobbled. Sometimes he flapped his wings too fast and toppled over like a rolling snowball. Once, he even splashed straight into the icy water with a squeal, bobbing up like a little round cork. The penguins laughed, but it wasn't unkind. Some clapped their wings in encouragement. One even shouted, "You're very funny, Tiko. You make skating look like a game." But Tiko didn't want to be funny. He wanted to be graceful. He wanted to shine like the others. Later that evening, as the stars blinked awake above the snowy cliffs, Tiko sat by himself on a little rock near the water's edge. The laughter of the others still echoed in his ears, but now it made his heart feel small. He gazed at his reflection in the ice, a tiny penguin with sparkling eyes that were now a little watery, his beak trembling as though he might cry. "Maybe I don't belong out there," he whispered. Maybe I'll always just be clumsy. He sniffled softly, trying to keep quiet so no one would hear. A single tear slid down his cheek, catching the moonlight before falling onto the ice with a tiny, frozen sparkle. Just then, a little puff of snow fell from a branch above, landing right on his head with a soft plop. Tiko blinked, startled, and looked up. A snowy hare was peeking at him from the branch, twitching its nose curiously. The hare tilted its head and squeaked as if to say, "Why so sad, little penguin?" Tiko giggled in spite of himself. His sadness softened for a moment, replaced by a tiny bubble of laughter. "I fell again," he told the hare. "I always fall." The hare wriggled its ears, then slipped off the branch. It landed in the snow, boing, and tumbled right onto its back. Its little legs kicked in the air until it rolled over, shaking snow off its fur. Tiko's eyes widened, then he let out a burst of laughter, soft, musical, and full of surprise. The hare, too, made a funny sound as if it was laughing back. For a moment, Tiko forgot about being perfect. He forgot about being embarrassed. He just laughed and laughed, the sound echoing gently across the still night. Then, as the hare hopped away into the snowy fields, Tiko's heart grew quiet again. He looked back at the ice, where the older penguins were still skating beneath the stars, their movements smooth and perfect. His little chest squeezed with longing. "I'll keep trying," he whispered, curling his flippers close. "I'll keep trying, even if I fall 1,000 times." The night was calm. The moonlight was soft. And though Tiko felt small, he also felt a tiny spark inside, glowing faintly like a secret waiting to be found. He waddled back toward the ice one last time before bed. His reflection looked back at him, round eyes sparkling, wings trembling just a little, but full of quiet determination. He stepped onto the ice again. His heart beat fast. His feet wobbled. And, whump, down he went, rolling into the snow with a muffled squeak. This time, though, instead of tears, a little laugh bubbled up. It was soft and shy at first, then warm and real. The older penguins smiled when they heard it. One leaned close to another and whispered, "He'll find his way. His laughter shines brighter than his falls." And so, beneath the glowing northern sky, little Tiko snuggled into the snow, his eyes half closing with sleep. His heart still carried worry, but also a flicker of hope. He didn't know yet that the polar star was waiting for him, or that adventures beyond his dreams were just beginning. For now, he drifted into dreams, his round belly rising and falling with each soft breath, a tiny smile resting on his beak, as the quiet snow wrapped him in its gentle arms. The night stretched long and quiet across the snowy land. The frozen lake shimmered in silver, and the cliffs cast gentle shadows that seemed to curl into the snow like sleepy blankets. Tiko lay in his little nest of ice and feathers, his big sparkling eyes staring up at the wide, dark sky. He couldn't fall asleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the older penguins gliding, so smooth, so graceful, while he wobbled, slipped, and fell. His round belly tightened with the memory. He wanted to laugh at himself, but instead he sighed, soft and heavy, his breath rising in little clouds above his beak. Then, something unusual caught his eye. High above the jagged mountains, far beyond the reach of his tiny flippers, a light twinkled brighter than all the others. It wasn't like the other stars that blinked gently and then disappeared. This light seemed alive. It shimmered and shimmered, glowing like a lantern in the dark. Tiko blinked and sat up a little straighter. His heart skipped. "What is that?" he whispered. The star seemed to answer by pulsing gently, as if it had heard his question. Just then, a deep, warm voice carried over the snow. "You see it too, little one?" Tiko spun around and saw Elder Nuna, the wisest penguin in their colony, standing not far away. Her feathers were dusted with snow, her eyes kind but strong, glowing like moonlit pools. She slowly waddled closer, her steps quiet as the falling snow. "Yes," Tiko whispered. "That one star, it's different. It looks brighter than all the rest. It feels like it's calling me." Elder Nuna looked up at the night sky, her gaze soft. Then she nodded slowly, her beak curling in a gentle smile. "That, Tiko, is the polar star. It has shone above our land for as long as any penguin can remember. The old tales say it is a guiding star. It shines brightest for those who feel lost, for those whose hearts are heavy but still brave. They say it awakens courage in anyone who follows it." Tiko's eyes widened. His heart fluttered with a mixture of hope and fear. "Courage," he whispered. "Do you mean, if I follow it, I might not be clumsy anymore?" Elder Nuna chuckled softly, the sound like snowflakes brushing against one another. "Being clumsy is not what makes you small, dear one. It is the doubt inside your heart. The polar star does not take away who you are. It shows you the strength already waiting within you." Tiko tilted his head, his sparkling eyes filling with wonder. He wanted to believe her words, but a lump of worry stayed in his chest. He thought of how the others laughed, how he stumbled again and again, how he felt like he didn't belong. "What if I don't have any strength inside me?" he asked, his voice trembling. The elder bent down and touched her beak gently to the top of his head, where the snow still clung like a little crown. "Every penguin has strength, little Tiko. Even the tiniest, even the clumsiest. Sometimes it hides, waiting for the right moment to shine." "Perhaps," she said, looking back up at the glowing star, "the polar star is waiting for you." Tycho's heart gave a little leap. He turned his eyes back to the brilliant light above the mountains. It twinkled, almost as if it were winking at him. For the first time in many nights, Tiko smiled. A real smile. A hopeful smile. But along with the hope came fear. His belly twisted. "It's so far away," he murmured. "How could I ever follow it? I can't even walk across the ice without falling." Elder Nuna only smiled gently. "Step by step, little one. The polar star does not ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to be brave enough to begin." Tiko looked down at his little feet, round and awkward, then back up at the star. It seemed so high, so distant, like a dream just out of reach. And yet, a flicker of warmth stirred inside him, tiny but steady. Maybe, just maybe, this was his chance. That night, as the other penguins slept soundly, Tiko stayed awake, watching the polar star. His heart filled with questions, fears, and a fragile thread of courage. He whispered to himself, "If I can follow that star, maybe I'll find out who I really am. Maybe I'll prove that I'm more than clumsy." The snow hushed around him like a blanket, the world soft and still. The polar star shimmered on, steady and bright, as if it had been waiting for him all along. And slowly, with a hopeful sigh, Tiko's sparkling eyes closed. His round belly rose and fell with gentle breaths as he drifted into sleep. Even in his dreams, the polar star glowed above him, lighting the path to an adventure he could not yet imagine. The morning sun stretched its golden fingers across the snowy cliffs, making the whole land sparkle as though diamonds had been sprinkled in the night. Tiko stirred from his nest, his big sparkling eyes blinking open. He stretched his little wings, yawned a squeaky penguin yawn, and peeked out across the ice. The polar star's glow still lingered faintly in his heart, like a memory of a dream. He whispered to himself, "Maybe tonight, I'll see it again." Just then, splash! Tiko jumped, his round belly wobbling as he scrambled upright. He peered toward the water's edge and blinked in surprise. Something round and silvery was rolling and tumbling across the ice. It was another baby animal. "Wee-ee!" the little creature squealed, spinning in circles before, whump, landing belly first in a snowbank, sending up a puff of white. A giggle followed, bright and bubbling, like the sound of water skipping over stones. The creature popped her head up, snowflakes stuck all over her whiskers. Her eyes sparkled like the sea. "Hello," she squeaked. "I'm Pila. Your cousin." Tiko's beak opened in surprise. "See, cousin?" The little seal pup wriggled out of the snowbank, flopping and sliding awkwardly across the ice toward him. She bumped into a rock, spun in a silly circle, then slid too far and splashed into the shallow water with another squeal. Splash! Water sprayed everywhere, landing right on Tiko's head. He shook himself quickly, blinking water from his eyes. Pila popped her head out of the water, giggling again. "Oops. Did I get you wet?" "I always do that." Tiko sighed, but inside, he couldn't help a tiny chuckle. She was very clumsy. Maybe even clumsier than he was. When Pila finally flopped onto the ice beside him, she smiled wide. "I came all the way from the faraway coast. Mama said I should spend time with you. And I've never seen snow like this before. It's amazing." To prove her point, she rolled over in the snow, wriggling like a worm until her little tail stuck up. Snowflakes clung to her whiskers again, making her look as though she had a frosty white mustache. Tiko covered his beak with his flipper, trying not to laugh. But it was no use. A soft giggle escaped, then another, until finally he laughed out loud. Pila beamed. "See? Falling is funny." Tiko blinked. "Funny? But, it's embarrassing. Everyone laughs at me when I fall. But isn't laughing good?" Pila tilted her head, her eyes wide and gentle. "When I fall, I laugh too. And then it doesn't hurt as much." And when everyone else laughs, I feel like we're all just playing together." Tiko thought about that. His round belly still felt a little tight with embarrassment, remembering all the times he had slipped and stumbled. But looking at Pila, so happy, so light, so full of silly joy, he wondered if maybe laughter could be softer than shame. The two of them waddled, or in Pila's case, wiggled, across the ice together. Every few steps, Pila would trip, roll, or slide. Once she bumped into Tiko and sent them both tumbling into a fluffy snowdrift. For a moment, Tiko lay there stunned, snow clinging to his feathers. Then Pila's giggle bubbled up beside him, so bright and silly that Tiko couldn't stop himself from laughing too. They wriggled out of the snow, still chuckling. Tiko's cheeks felt warm, but this time it wasn't from embarrassment. It was from happiness. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in soft shades of orange and pink, Tiko sat with Pila on a smooth ice rock by the lake. The first stars were appearing, one by one. "Do you see that one?" Tiko whispered, pointing up at the brightest star twinkling above the mountains. Pila squinted her eyes. "Oh. It looks like it's sparkling just for us." "That's the polar star," Tiko explained, his voice filled with wonder. "The elder told me it's a guiding star. It helps lost penguins find courage." Pila gasped, her whiskers twitching. "Courage? Like, the courage to slide down the biggest ice hill? Or the courage to belly flop in the water even if it makes a huge splash?" Tiko giggled softly. "Maybe even bigger courage than that." For a moment, they both sat quietly, gazing up at the star. It pulsed faintly, steady and bright, as though it truly was listening. "Let's follow it," Pila whispered suddenly. Her voice was full of excitement, her eyes sparkling. Tiko's round belly gave a nervous flutter. "Follow it? But it's so far. What if we trip? What if we get lost?" Pila grinned, wiggling her flippers. "Then we'll trip together. And laugh together. And maybe, just maybe, find our courage together." Tiko felt his chest grow warm. He was still afraid, still unsure, but when he looked at Pila's glowing smile, he realized he didn't feel quite so small anymore. With her beside him, falling didn't seem so lonely. He lifted his little flipper and pointed toward the polar star. "All right. We'll follow it. Step by step." Pila clapped her flippers, squealing with delight, before slipping over backwards into the snow. Tiko laughed so hard he had to hold his round belly with both flippers. The polar star twinkled brighter above them, as though it were smiling too. And that night, as they curled up side by side beneath the sky, the cousins drifted to sleep with laughter still echoing softly in their hearts. Neither of them knew what adventures awaited them, but they had already learned something important. Together, even mistakes could shine. The morning light painted the snowy cliffs with a gentle, golden glow, making the ice sparkle as if sprinkled with tiny stars. Tiko blinked slowly, his round, sparkling eyes catching the shimmer as he waddled toward the base of the mountain. His little feet sank slightly into the fresh snow with every step, and his heart beat with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today, the adventure truly began. He looked up at the enormous ice slide stretching down the mountain. It curved and twisted like a silver ribbon, glinting in the sun, smooth and shiny. The wind whooshed softly around its edges, whispering promises of speed and fun. Tiko's round belly tightened. His flippers wiggled, and he took a small, trembling step closer. Pila, he whispered, his voice quivering just a little, that looks really big. Pila, already perched at the top, wiggled her tail and flopped forward, squealing with pure joy. Big is fun, Tiko. Come on, she called, her whiskers twitching as snowflakes clung to them like tiny sparkles. With a wiggle and a little push from her flippers, she zoomed forward, spinning once, twice, and then with a joyful squeal she disappeared down the slide. Tiko's eyes widened. He watched her tumble and twirl, laughter spilling from her in musical bursts that seemed to make the snow sparkle even brighter. The way she laughed, fearless and light, made something inside him stir, a tiny flicker of courage that had been hiding beneath his worries. Tiko took a deep breath. He stepped onto the icy curve, wobbled a little, then slipped. Whoosh! He zoomed forward, his little wings flapping like sails, trying to keep balance. Spin, 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 round and round he went, past startled snow hares that leapt into the air with surprised squeaks, their tiny paws skimming the snow. Tiko let out a nervous squeak. Then, laugh. It bubbled up from his belly, soft and shy at first, then louder, richer, brighter. He had fallen again, tumbled sideways, and somehow ended up with his flippers tangled. But instead of feeling embarrassed, he laughed with a warmth that tickled his heart. Pila's giggles echoed from below, see? It's the best part. Falling makes it more fun. The snow sparkled around them as Tiko tried again. Step, slip, whoosh. He twirled, spun, and flopped onto his back with a little poof of snow flying into the air. His heart raced, but every tumble brought laughter. Every turn made his chest feel lighter. The mountain wasn't scary anymore, it was full of music, full of wind, full of the sparkle of shared joy. Halfway down, Tiko's eyes caught a little snow hare frozen mid-leap. Its tiny nose twitched, its paws flailing in surprise as Tiko zipped past. Sorry, little hare. Tiko squeaked, spinning past like a tiny snow rocket. The hare landed safely, shook itself, and gave a little squeak that sounded almost like laughter. Tiko giggled, amazed at how the world felt alive with tiny, unexpected friends. Pila landed beside him at the next curve, wriggling in the snow. She nudged Tiko with her flipper and whispered, "See? You're flying now. You're really flying." Tiko's round eyes sparkled with wonder. Flying wasn't perfect, it wasn't graceful, it was spinny, it was wobbly, it was full of snowy tumbles, but it was wonderful. He felt the wind brush past his feathers, cool and gentle, and the sunlight danced across the ice like liquid gold. He took a deep breath and tried again. Step, slip, whoosh. He spun sideways, twirled, bounced off a small snow drift, and landed in a pile of powder with a happy squeal. His laughter mingled with Pila's, rising like musical bubbles into the soft morning sky. Even as he tumbled, even as his round belly wobbled, his heart felt bigger, brighter. And then, suddenly, Tiko felt a little pang in his chest. He remembered the nights when he had felt small, when the other penguins had glided so perfectly, when he had felt like he didn't belong. For a moment, he froze in the snow, his flippers pressed close to his round belly. Tears pricked the corners of his eyes, tiny and sparkling like frost on the ice. Pila nudged him gently with her whiskered nose. "Hey, little penguin, it's okay," she whispered. "Even if you fall, it's still you. And look, you're smiling now, aren't you?" Tiko blinked, and the tears slid down his cheeks. But instead of hiding, he let them fall. 1, 2, 3 tiny drops landed on the snow with quiet, magical little plinks. He sniffled softly and then, laugh. A soft, trembling laugh that grew stronger, warmer, until it mingled with the sound of the wind, the snow, and Pila's joyful squeals. "See?" Pila said, hopping over the ice with a playful wiggle. "Tears can dance too." Tiko giggled through the tears, feeling lighter, braver, alive. He had been scared. He had felt small. But now, tumbling down the ice, flippers spinning, belly wobbling, he felt the sparkle of courage twinkling inside him, glowing like the little star in the sky he had once dreamed of following. Step by step, slide by slide, Tiko and Pila raced down the enormous ice ribbon. They tumbled, spun, and flopped, racing past snow hares, sparkling icicles, and little drifts of snow that puffed like cotton clouds. Every fall was a burst of giggles. Every tumble was a tiny celebration of being alive. At the very bottom, where the ice slide ended in a soft curve of snow, the two cousins lay in a tangled heap, flippers wiggling, tails twirling, and feathers dusted with snow. Tiko's chest rose and fell with deep, joyful breaths, his round eyes shining with wonder. Pila wiggled beside him, her whiskers sparkling with frost. "You did it," she squealed. "You really did it, Tiko. You flew." Tiko giggled, his heart warm. "We did it, together," he whispered. And in that moment, he realized something magical. Courage wasn't about being perfect. Courage was about trying, about laughing, about holding a friend close as you tumbled and fell. It was about letting your heart shine even when your feet wobbled. As the sun began to dip lower, painting the sky in shades of soft pink and gentle orange, Tiko and Pila stood at the bottom of the mountain, looking back up at the sparkling ribbon of ice. The world felt vast, alive, and full of possibilities. Tiko's chest swelled with quiet pride, his round belly shaking with the leftover giggles of the day. He turned to Pila, his eyes sparkling like the morning sun on ice. "Tomorrow, we'll try it again," he whispered, a smile spreading wide across his beak. "And the day after that, and the day after that. Step by step. Slide by slide. Together." Pila nodded, wiggling happily. "Together," she agreed, her tiny tail kicking up little sprays of snow. That night, curled up beneath a blanket of sparkling stars, Tiko drifted into sleep with soft giggles still lingering in his chest, a little stronger, a little braver, and a little more certain of the magic that comes from laughter, courage, and friendship. And somewhere, high above the snowy cliffs, the polar star twinkled faintly, as if winking at him, whispering, "Keep going, little one. The adventure is only beginning." The moon had climbed higher into the sky, painting the snowy cliffs in silvery light, when Tiko and Pila waddled toward a strange shimmer ahead. At first, it looked like a crack of light, just a sliver of glow between the icy mountains. But as they drew closer, the shimmer widened, revealing a tunnel carved deep into the glacier, its walls sparkling like millions of tiny diamonds. Tycho's round eyes grew wide. "Oh! Pila, look at that," he whispered, his voice soft with awe. The tunnel seemed alive, glowing with colors he had never seen before. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet shimmered across the icy walls, turning the cold ice into a rainbow river that stretched endlessly ahead. Pila flopped onto the ice in pure excitement, whiskers twitching. It's magical," she squealed, rolling from side to side, sending little sprays of snow sparkling like glitter. "Come on, Tiko. Let's go in." Tiko hesitated. His little belly felt tight, and his flippers trembled. The tunnel was enormous, and the colors danced and swirled in ways that made him feel small, almost tiny in the middle of all that light. It's so big and bright," he murmured, glancing nervously at the sparkling walls. Pila nudged him gently with her nose. "It's okay to be small, Tiko. Look, aren't the colors beautiful?" Her eyes gleamed, reflecting every rainbow in the tunnel. Maybe our mistakes can be beautiful too, if we let the light shine through them." Tiko tilted his head, unsure. "Mistakes?" he asked softly. "Yes." Pila wiggled her flippers and flopped forward, spinning across the ice. "Like when I fall in the snow or splash into the water. Or when you tumble down the ice slide. See? All the falling and flopping, those are our mistakes. And look! The tunnel makes them sparkle." Tiko watched as Pila rolled across the ice, her round belly bumping and wobbling, sending little arcs of rainbow light dancing along the tunnel walls. Tiko couldn't help but giggle. It really does," he said, his nervousness softening into wonder. He took a careful step forward, then another. His little feet slipped a little, flippers flapped, and, whoosh, he spun in a tiny circle, accidentally bumping into a wall of glowing ice. The collision sent a spray of rainbow reflections across the tunnel, stretching and twisting like a magical painting. Tycho's eyes grew wide, and then, he laughed. Soft at first, then louder, musical and warm. Pila clapped her flippers in delight. "See! You made the tunnel dance with colors." Encouraged, Tiko tried again. Step, wobble, slide. Each stumble sent shimmering rainbows bouncing along the walls. He flopped, he twirled, he bumped into Pila, and they tumbled together in a heap of laughter. Their giggles echoed through the tunnel, mixing with the sparkling colors to create a feeling of magic and wonder. At one point, Tycho's little flipper knocked against a crystal wall. The rainbow shimmer stretched upward, forming a long, twisting arch above them. "Look at that!" Pila squealed. "Our clumsy dancing is making the tunnel glow." Tycho's round eyes sparkled brighter than ever. He realized that the things he had worried about, falling, wobbling, being clumsy, weren't bad at all. In the light of the rainbow tunnel, even mistakes became beautiful, playful, and full of life. Every tumble became a twirl, every slip became a streak of color. They waddled deeper into the tunnel, their reflections mixing with the dancing lights. Sometimes they bumped into each other, sometimes they slid sideways, and sometimes they rolled over, sending arcs of rainbow across the walls. Every clumsy movement made them laugh harder. Their laughter bounced off the crystal walls, turning the tunnel into a symphony of color, giggles, and light. For a moment, Tiko paused and looked around. His heart felt full. He thought of the nights he had felt small, the moments he had worried about falling or not belonging. And now every wobble, every tumble, every little mistake was shining like magic around him. His chest swelled with warmth, and a tiny tear of happiness glimmered in his eye. Pila noticed and nudged him gently. "See, Tiko? Even when we stumble, the world can sparkle with us. Mistakes can be beautiful if we let them." Tiko nodded, sniffing softly, and then laughed again, feeling the warmth of courage bubbling inside. He realized something important: the tunnel wasn't just rainbow ice. It was a lesson in light, in joy, and in believing that being clumsy could be wonderful. They spent what felt like hours sliding, spinning, tumbling, and laughing. Each time they fell, the rainbows stretched brighter, twisting into new shapes. Sometimes they even tried to make patterns, flopping side by side or bumping gently into each other to create colorful streaks along the walls. The tunnel had become their playground, a magical world where mistakes shone like starlight. Finally, as they reached the end of the tunnel, the rainbow light softened, fading into the gentle glow of the snow outside. Tiko and Pila lay side by side on the ice, catching their breath, their flippers still tingling from all the tumbling and sliding. Their eyes sparkled brighter than ever, reflecting the faint rainbow still shimmering in the crystals behind them. Tiko whispered softly, I think I understand now. Mistakes aren't scary. They can be beautiful." Pila nodded, her whiskers twitching in agreement. "And even better when we laugh together." Tycho's round belly wiggled with a happy giggle. "Yes, together." That night, curled up under a blanket of sparkling stars, the cousins drifted to sleep, their hearts full of joy and wonder. The memory of the rainbow tunnel lingered softly, a reminder that even the clumsiest steps, the tiniest tumbles, and the silliest falls could shine brightly when shared with courage, laughter, and a friend by your side. And high above, the polar star twinkled faintly, its gentle glow whispering a promise: keep going, little ones. There is magic in every step you take. The sky had grown heavy and gray, the soft glow of the moon and stars hidden behind thick clouds. Tiko and Pila waddled along the snowy path, their little flippers brushing through powdery drifts. The air was crisp and still, almost as if the world was holding its breath. But then, a whisper of wind became a gust, and the gust became a howl, swirling snowflakes into a dancing storm that hid the world in a sparkling, blinding white. Tiko froze, his round eyes wide with alarm. Pila, the snow. I can't see," he squeaked, his little belly tightening with fear. Every step felt uncertain. His flippers wobbled as he tried to steady himself, but the snow pushed and tumbled around him, catching him off balance. Pila, too, flopped in the swirling snow, her whiskers twitching as flakes clung to them like tiny icicles. "It's okay, Tiko," she called, her voice soft but steady. "Breathe. Just breathe." Tycho's chest rose and fell quickly, his heartbeat racing. "Breathe? But how?" he murmured, his little beak trembling. "Slowly," Pila said, nudging him gently with her nose. "In and out, feel the wind, feel the snow. Listen. The world is still talking to us." Tiko tried. He closed his eyes for a moment and drew in a shaky breath. The wind whistled past, whirling and twisting, but beneath it, he thought he could hear something faint, a soft, steady shimmer, like a heartbeat of light far above. His eyes opened slowly. The polar star," he whispered. "Yes," Pila said. "I think I can see its faint glow, just there." She pointed with a little flipper. "Step by step, we can follow it. Together." Tycho's chest squeezed. He felt panic rise again, but Pila's calm, gentle presence made it a little easier to bear. He nodded, tiny flipper clutching hers, and they moved forward, feeling the crunch of snow beneath their feet, feeling the wind's icy fingers on their feathers. Each step was hard. Sometimes they stumbled into soft drifts, sinking up to their bellies, snow puffing up around them like clouds. Sometimes they slipped sideways, flippers flailing, landing in heaps with muffled squeaks. Tycho's heart jumped every time, afraid he might lose his way, afraid he might let Pila down. But Pila's laughter, soft, warm, and steady, bubbled up beside him. "It's okay to slip. It's okay to fall. We're together." Tiko let out a shaky giggle, feeling the tension in his round belly loosen just a little. Step by step, wobble by wobble, they pressed on. The snowstorm swirled around them like a living creature, hiding rocks, hiding paths, hiding everything familiar. But the faint shimmer of the polar star guided them, small and steady in the distance. At one point, Tiko stumbled into a deep drift, flippers flailing. "Oh no," he squeaked, sinking almost to his belly. Pila flopped down beside him, nudging him gently with her nose. "You're okay. Push through. One flipper, one step at a time. Look. I'm right here." Tycho's heart fluttered, and for a moment he felt tears prick his eyes, small tears, reflecting the swirling snowflakes. But he blinked, took a shaky breath, and stood again. Each flipper step became a little surer, a little stronger, until he found a rhythm in the chaos of the storm. The wind roared, but Tiko remembered Pila's words, "Listen to the wind. Feel the snow. Follow the light." He looked for the faint shimmer of the polar star and lifted his little beak. He imagined the warmth it promised, a guiding light in the white expanse. He felt a surge of courage, tiny but real, sparkling in his round chest. Side by side, the cousins continued, slipping, tumbling, and laughing softly when they landed in soft snow. Each stumble was less frightening with Pila beside him. Each fall was met with a shared giggle that warmed their hearts more than any sunlight ever could. Hours, or maybe only minutes, time blurred in the storm, they pressed forward. And slowly, ever so slowly, the blizzard began to lose its fury. The wind softened, the flakes thinned, and a pale, silvery light broke through the clouds. Tiko blinked. The faint shimmer of the polar star was brighter now, casting a gentle glow on the snow. Relief bubbled up in his chest, and his round eyes shone with wonder. He had been scared. He had felt small. He had almost given up. But he hadn't. He had kept going, step by step, flipper by flipper, with courage growing inside him. Pila wriggled her tail happily and nuzzled him. "We made it, Tiko. We really made it." Tiko's chest rose and fell with a mixture of exhaustion and pride. "Yes, together," he whispered, a soft, happy tear sliding down his cheek. It caught the light of the star above, sparkling like a tiny diamond on the snow. For the first time, he realized something wonderful. Even when the storm seemed too fierce, even when fear tried to hold him back, courage could shine through. And sometimes, all it took was one small step at a time, with a friend to hold your flipper. As they sat side by side, watching the snow settle and the polar star twinkle in the clear sky again, Tiko's round belly wiggled with a soft, contented sigh. The storm had passed, leaving the world sparkling, quiet, and full of gentle magic. That night, curled together beneath the glittering sky, the cousins drifted into sleep. Tiko's heart was lighter, braver, and full of hope. He had faced fear, he had stumbled, and he had discovered something important. The bravest hearts are not those that never fall, but those that keep going, shining, even in the midst of the storm. And high above, the polar star twinkled softly, as if whispering, "You are never alone, little ones. Keep walking, keep laughing, and the light will always guide you home." The morning air was crisp and bright after the snowstorm. Tiny crystals sparkled across the snowy cliffs, and the world felt quiet and peaceful, as if it were taking a gentle breath after the storm. Tiko and Pila waddled carefully, their little feet crunching in the fresh snow, still feeling the soft shimmer of the polar star in their hearts. Suddenly, a flurry of wings whipped through the air with a lively whoosh. A group of puffins, round and cheerful with colorful beaks and tiny black flippers, swooped down from the cliffs above. They zipped past Tiko and Pila in playful loops, diving low, then rising high, their wings flapping in a comical rhythm that made the cousins blink in surprise. One mischievous puffin darted down and snatched Pila's scarf right off her neck with a cheeky chirp. Pila yelped and tumbled forward, spinning in the snow as her whiskers twitched in disbelief. Another puffin swooped past Tiko, tugging his scarf just long enough to spin him around in circles before dropping it lightly onto the ice. Tiko's round eyes went wide. "Hey! That's mine," he squeaked, waddling after the puffins, his little flippers flapping. His belly wobbled as he slid on a thin patch of ice, and, whoops, he tumbled forward, snow puffing up like a tiny cloud. Pila rolled onto her back, kicking her flippers in the air as she giggled. "They're so silly," she squealed. "Look at them go." At first, Tiko felt frustration rising in his chest. He stomped a tiny foot in the snow, cheeks puffing out. "They're taking everything," he muttered, glancing at the puffins who were now sliding in wide circles around them, scarves trailing behind like ribbons in the wind. But then, Tiko's mind wandered back to the ice slide, to the rainbow tunnel, to every moment where falling and clumsiness had turned into something fun. He took a deep breath, feeling his round belly relax. A little smile spread across his beak. "You know what, Pila," he said, voice soft but determined. "We can play too. Let's show them how it's done." Pila's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Yes. A sliding contest," she squealed, rolling onto her belly and scooting forward with a wiggle. Tiko nodded, puffing out his chest just a little. "All right, Puffins. Ready to see some real sliding?" The Puffins chirped and flapped their wings in mock challenge, circling closer. Then, with a playful whoosh, Tiko and Pila pushed off the snow together. Tiko wobbled, flippers flailing, spinning just a little too much, whoa, but he landed on his belly with a soft snow puff. Pila tumbled beside him, sending little arcs of snow scattering in all directions. The puffins chirped in delight, swooping low to follow the cousins' playful chaos. Each attempt Tiko made, each silly spin, each wobbly tumble, was met with laughter, not teasing, but joyful claps of wings from the puffins. Tiko couldn't help giggling himself, the frustration melting into pure fun. "Watch this," he squeaked, flopping forward and sliding in a big curve, snow spraying up in a rainbow-like mist as the sunlight caught the crystals. Pila followed, rolling and spinning like a little silver blur. The puffins tried to mimic their moves, flapping and sliding, creating a whirlwind of feathers, flippers, snow, and laughter. For a moment, Tiko's heart swelled with joy. The storm from earlier, the fear, even the clumsy tumbles, all of it felt distant now. Here, in the swirling games with Pila and the puffins, he realized something important. Clumsiness could be fun, and laughter could turn frustration into friendship. Finally, Tiko wobbled to a stop, puffing little clouds of snowy breath, and Pila landed beside him, cheeks glistening with joy. The puffins chirped and circled around them, small smiles of respect in their bright eyes. "You did it!" Pila squealed, nuzzling Tiko gently. "They like us." Tiko nodded, feeling his round belly flutter with pride. "Yes, and it's because we didn't give up, even when we felt small. We just played." One of the puffins flapped down and dropped Pila's scarf gently in front of her. Another nudged Tiko's scarf toward him. They chirped softly, as if saying, "Well done, little penguin and little seal. You've earned our respect." Tiko and Pila exchanged happy glances. Together, they had turned a moment of frustration into laughter, friendship, and courage. Their tiny hearts felt bigger, braver, and lighter than ever. As the sun climbed higher and melted the last icy crystals of the storm, the cousins waved to the puffins, who zoomed off to explore their own snowy paths. Tiko and Pila waddled side by side, still giggling softly as they continued on their journey, their round eyes sparkling with the quiet knowledge that even tricky, mischievous moments could become magical adventures. That night, as they curled up beneath the twinkling sky, Tiko whispered, I think. I think games, laughter, and friends can make even the scariest things feel fun. Pila nuzzled him in agreement. Yes, and clumsy hearts can shine brightest when we share them with others. And high above, the polar star twinkled faintly, its gentle glow whispering once more, keep going, little ones. Courage, laughter, and friendship will always light your way. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow across the snowy cliffs and frozen valleys below. Tiko and Pila waddled cautiously toward a shimmering sight ahead, a bridge of solid ice, stretching gracefully across a deep chasm. Its surface glowed softly, reflecting the moonlight like a ribbon of liquid silver suspended in the night. Tiko's round eyes widened. It's beautiful, he whispered, his little flippers trembling with both awe and nervousness. The bridge was so high, so thin in the distance, and the wind whispered coldly around them. His heart thumped in his chest like a tiny drum. Pila hopped onto the edge first, her whiskers quivering. It's amazing. Come on, Tiko, she called, her voice full of excitement. She didn't notice, or maybe didn't care, how high it seemed. Tiko's tiny flippers shivered. He took a cautious step onto the ice, and the bridge groaned faintly under his weight. He froze. Beneath the glowing surface, small cracks began to spiderweb across the ice, faint lines catching the moonlight. A shiver ran through his round belly. Pila, wait, he squeaked. The ice, it's cracking. Pila's flippers slipped slightly, and she teetered dangerously close to the edge. Ah, she squealed, wiggling frantically to regain balance. Tiko's heart leapt. Fear surged, tightening his chest, making his flippers feel weak. He could see the drop below, dark and endless, and a tiny thought whispered in his mind, what if I fall? What if we both fall? But then he remembered the snowstorm, the puffins, the rainbow tunnel, every moment where fear had tried to stop him, and yet he had found courage. His little flippers quivered, but he lifted them anyway. He edged closer to Pila, his round body wobbling like a leaf in the wind. I've got you, he called softly, trying to keep his voice steady. Hold my flipper. Pila stretched her tiny flipper toward him, her eyes wide with trust and fear. Tiko's belly tightened again, but he pushed the trembling thoughts aside. Step by careful step, he wobbled toward her, each movement measured, clumsy, yet determined. Together, he whispered. We're together. I won't let go. Pila nodded, taking a deep breath. She felt Tiko's warmth and steadiness, and for the first time, even the frightening cracks didn't seem so scary. Together, they leaned slightly into each other, balancing as best they could. Tiko's clumsy wobble, once a source of embarrassment, became a steady rhythm, keeping them grounded and connected. The ice groaned and cracked a little more, faint lines spreading, but Tiko didn't look down. He focused only on Pila, on the flippers linked in trust, on the soft glow of the moon above. Step by tiny step, they moved forward, hearts beating together, breaths shallow but brave. At one point, Tiko slipped just slightly, sliding a few inches. He squeaked in alarm, but Pila caught him with a gentle push from her whiskers. You can do it, Tiko, she encouraged. I know you can. Tycho's round eyes glistened with determination. He took a deep breath and steadied himself. We can do it, he said softly. Together. And so, side by side, they continued. The cracks stretched beneath them, the height dizzying, yet the trust between them grew stronger with each careful step. Each wobble, each shiver of fear, became a beat in a quiet rhythm of courage and care. Finally, with one last careful shuffle, they reached the other side. Pila tumbled forward in a soft, snowy pile, giggling and squealing with relief. Tycho landed beside her, his little chest rising and falling as he laughed softly, the fear melting into joy. You did it! Pila exclaimed, nuzzling him gently. We really did it! Tycho's round belly fluttered with warmth. He had been scared, trembling, unsure, and yet he had found strength in the very wobble he once thought was a weakness. His clumsy balance, his tiny flippers, his round little body, it had all helped him be strong enough to protect Pila and keep them both safe. The moonlight seemed to shine a little brighter, as if celebrating their courage. The ice bridge, once frightening, now seemed like a path they had conquered together, a magical ribbon of silver that carried the memory of trust, bravery, and love. Tycho nuzzled Pila gently, whispering, "Thank you, for trusting me." Pila's eyes sparkled, reflecting the moon above. "And thank you, Tycho, for being brave, even when you were scared. You're stronger than you know." Side by side, the cousins waddled away from the glowing bridge, hearts light, bellies warm, and laughter soft but full of wonder. That night, curled together beneath the quiet sky, they realized something important. Sometimes courage doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from taking careful steps, leaning on those we love, and trusting in the strength that grows even from our wobbliness. And high above, the polar star twinkled, soft and steady, whispering to them both, "You are braver than you think, little ones. Even the smallest hearts can carry the biggest courage." The mountaintop rose before them like a quiet, silver throne, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. Tycho and Pila waddled carefully across the final stretch of ice, their little hearts beating with a mix of awe, excitement, and exhaustion. The world seemed to hold its breath around them, the snow sparkling, the wind whispering softly, the distant cliffs fading into shadows. And there it was, the polar star. Brighter than any light they had ever seen, it hung in the sky like a lantern meant just for them. Its glow shimmered on the snow, painting the mountaintop with silver and soft gold, as if the star itself had descended to greet them. Tycho's round eyes widened. His little flippers trembled as he whispered, It's even more beautiful than I imagined." Pila shuffled closer, her whiskers quivering. "It's magical," she breathed, tail flopping in wonder. "I've never seen anything like it." Tycho tilted his head back, gazing straight up. The polar star pulsed gently, almost as if it were breathing, sending waves of calm and warmth through the chilly night air. For a moment, Tycho felt a little tug of longing. He had always thought of stars as something far away to reach, to catch, to hold. But now, he realized this star was different. It wasn't something to catch. It was something to feel. Something to let glow inside. Tiko closed his eyes and took a deep breath, the crisp mountaintop air filling his little lungs. The warmth of the star seemed to seep in, spreading through his round belly and fluttering up to his chest. And then, softly, as if the star had a voice just for him, visions began to appear in his mind. He saw himself laughing as he tumbled on the ice slide, rolling and spinning with Pila. He saw the rainbow tunnel, where his awkward waddles had painted colors along the walls, making them sparkle and dance. He saw the snowstorm, where even trembling with fear, he had held Pila's flipper and kept going. And he saw the puffins, circling and chirping, laughing alongside them as Tiko and Pila turned a frustrating moment into joy. With each vision, Tiko's little heart swelled. He realized something astonishing: his tumbles, his falls, his clumsy mistakes, they weren't flaws. They were part of him. They had brought happiness, courage, and laughter to others. His mistakes had become tiny lights, just like the polar star above, shining outwards into the world. Tiko's round eyes glistened as he looked at Pila. I think I understand now," he whispered softly. "The polar star, it's not about being perfect. It's about the light we already carry inside. All the laughs, all the trips, all the tumbles, they make us bright." Pila's whiskers twitched with a gentle smile. "Yes, even clumsy hearts can shine the brightest," she whispered back, nuzzling him with her warm little nose. Tiko wiggled his flippers happily, a soft giggle escaping. For the first time, he didn't feel small or worried. He didn't feel the ache of embarrassment that had weighed on him for so long. Instead, his chest felt light and warm, full of pride and love for the little penguin he had always been, and for the little seal who had been by his side through every wobble and tumble. He lifted his tiny flippers toward the sky, imagining the polar star shining inside him as well as above. "I don't need to be perfect," he whispered to the night. "I'm already enough." The star seemed to twinkle brighter, pulsing gently, as if acknowledging him. The snow beneath their feet glittered like scattered diamonds, echoing the little glow that now sparkled in Tiko's heart. Pila nudged him gently. "Do you feel it?" she asked softly. "That warm, happy glow?" Tiko nodded, round eyes sparkling. "I do. It's me. And it's wonderful." They sat side by side, looking out over the mountains, the valleys, the twinkling snowfields. The world was wide, magical, and full of possibilities. And high above, the polar star hung steady and bright, a gentle reminder that courage, joy, and love weren't found in being flawless, they were found in being true to your heart, in laughing at yourself, and in sharing that light with others. Tiko took Pila's flipper in his, squeezing gently. "I think, this is the best part of the journey," he whispered. "Not the ice slides, not even the rainbow tunnels, it's knowing that our hearts can shine no matter what." Pila's eyes glimmered in the moonlight. "Yes, and now, wherever we go, we can carry that light with us." Tiko nodded, feeling a warmth spread from his round belly to the tip of his beak. "The polar star, it showed me something I've had all along. My heart is already bright." And so, under the soft silver glow of the night and the twinkling brilliance of the polar star, Tiko and Pila sat quietly, letting the magic of the mountaintop fill them. They didn't need to speak, their hearts understood. Laughter, courage, clumsy tumbles, and the love they shared, it was enough. It had always been enough. As they curled together beneath the sparkling sky, Tiko whispered one last thought before drifting into a peaceful sleep: I don't need to catch the polar star. I just need to let it shine inside me. And high above, the star twinkled gently, as if smiling, knowing that the little penguin and his cousin had discovered the greatest secret of all, that the brightest light in the world is the one we carry in our own hearts. The night air was crisp and gentle as Tiko and Pila waddled back toward the familiar icy lake. The snow sparkled like diamonds under the moonlight, and the faint glow of the polar star hung softly above, bathing everything in silver light. Tiko's little flippers trembled with excitement as he looked at the smooth, glimmering ice stretching out before them. Home again, Pila whispered, her whiskers twitching with delight. It feels different somehow. Tiko nodded, his round eyes sparkling. Yes, it feels like we've changed. His chest fluttered with a warmth that wasn't just from the journey, it was from knowing the glow inside himself, the courage he had discovered on the mountaintop. The other penguins were there too, gliding across the ice in smooth, practiced sweeps. Some looked up as the two cousins approached, curious smiles spreading across their faces. Tiko hesitated at the edge of the ice for a moment, remembering all the times he had slipped, tumbled, and felt embarrassed. But then he felt Pila's warm little flipper brush against his, and he remembered the polar star's secret, how every wobble, every mistake, had its own magic. He took a deep breath, lifted his flippers, and stepped forward. For a heartbeat, he teetered, then, swoosh, he slid across the ice, spinning gently. His little round belly wobbled, his flippers flailed, and, plop, he landed on his belly with a soft squeak. Instead of hiding, he let out a soft, bubbling laugh. It started small, shy, then grew warm and bright, echoing across the lake. Pila joined in instantly, twirling and sliding with joyful abandon. She spun in circles, tumbled belly first into a fluffy snowdrift, and then popped up, giggling, her whiskers sprinkled with ice crystals. The other penguins watched for a moment, their eyes widening with surprise. And then, slowly, laughter began to ripple across the lake. One by one, they started trying the playful spins and tumbles, not worrying about looking perfect. Each clumsy wobble became part of a joyful dance, the ice glittering under moonlight as laughter and friendship filled the air. Tiko tried a small twirl and slipped, then laughed. He flopped forward, wings flailing, and a small group of younger penguins tried the same move, laughing at their own tumbles. Pila slid past them, squealing with delight, and soon the whole lake was alive with clumsy, magical motion. Even the elder penguins, who had watched Tiko struggle many nights ago, smiled softly and clapped their flippers, a quiet joy spreading across their faces. One of them whispered to another, "He's found it, the light in his heart." Tiko's cheeks glowed with pride. He had always worried about being clumsy, about making mistakes. But now, spinning, slipping, and laughing, he realized something wonderful. It was his laughter, his courage, and his heart that made him shine. Not perfection. Not flawless moves. He glanced at Pila, who was twirling nearby with her tail flopping in the snow. "We did it," he whispered softly. "We really did it." Pila grinned, rolling gently onto her back and flopping upright again. "We did. And look, everyone's joining in. See how fun it is?" The cousins wobbled and slid together, laughter echoing under the polar star. Each tumble and trip became part of the magic, turning the icy lake into a stage of playful, joyful motion. The snow sparkled, the ice glimmered, and the star above shone like a gentle spotlight, illuminating their little hearts. As the night deepened, Tiko and Pila finally slowed, their flippers tired but their hearts full. They waddled toward the edge of the lake and curled up together in the snow, breathing in the crisp, sparkling air. Tiko's round belly rose and fell with quiet, calm breaths. "I'm proud of who I am," Tiko whispered softly, nuzzling Pila's warm flipper. "All of it, my clumsy heart, my laughter, my courage." Pila snuggled closer, her whiskers brushing against his beak. "And I'm proud of you too, Tiko. We've learned that mistakes aren't something to hide, they're part of the magic." The polar star twinkled softly above them, as if nodding in agreement. Its gentle glow seemed to wrap around them, a quiet reminder that the bravest, happiest hearts are not those that never fall, but those that rise, laugh, and shine in every stumble. And so, beneath the soft, silver light of the polar star, Tiko and Pila drifted into sleep. The icy lake lay quiet, sparkling in the night, and the laughter and joy of their journey remained in the hearts of all who had watched. The little penguin with a round belly, the playful seal with a frosty whisker mustache, and their friends had discovered the greatest secret of all: the light inside, once found, could turn every tumble into magic, every fall into joy, and every moment into a dance under the stars. And so, under the gentle glow of the polar star, Tiko and Pila discovered the greatest secret of all. That every wobble, every stumble, and every giggle was never a mistake, but a little piece of magic, shining from the light already inside their hearts. So tonight, as you drift to sleep, remember this too. You don't need to be perfect to shine. Your laughter, your courage, your kind little heart, they're already bright enough to light up your whole world. Close your eyes now. Breathe in slowly. And breathe out even softer. Imagine the polar star twinkling just for you, promising that you are safe, you are loved, and you are braver than you know. Good night, little one. May your dreams sparkle with courage. May your heart glow with joy. And may you always remember, the brightest star is already inside you.